Welcome to the THE. The Tourism, Hospitality, and Event Podcast is brought to you by the Tourism and Hospitality Management Seniors at Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This podcast is student-driven. On this podcast, students apply the knowledge and experience that they've acquired from their time at the School of Sport, Tourism, and Hospitality Management to address present-day issues that have a significant impact within the industry. My name is Carly, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Devin, Juliana, Sam, and Nee, and we will also be joined by a guest speaker, Stephanie Willis.
So today we're super excited because our conversation is going to be food safety and hygiene. So this is something that's really important to a lot of people because if this isn't taken care of, it can cause sickness in people and also cause closures of restaurants. And, with COVID-19 coming up, it's also drastically impacted this as a lot more people are aware of the food they're eating, where it's coming from, and if it's safe for them to consume.
With all of that being said, we would love to have our guest Stephanie Willis of Everybody Eats Philly to introduce herself.
Well, hello, my name is Stephanie Willis, Chefney Nicole on all social media platforms. I am the founder of Everybody Eats, which is an organization of Black chefs that are helping kill food insecurity in the city of Philadelphia and surrounding areas.
Okay, so I'll start it off with a question for you, Stephanie. So how did you incorporate food safety into Everybody Eats Philly and the food drives that were hosted this summer? And with multiple restaurants donating meals, how were health precautions taken care of?
That is a great question. So when COVID hit, everybody was like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? Especially us in the restaurant business and the folks that we're close to that have restaurants that donated food. First and foremost, all of the chefs that are on the Everybody Eats team are EverSafe certified, which is a course that you take typically within, if you're working in the restaurant business already, to make sure that you are able to safely handle food. That goes from purchasing to storing to preparing to storing after it's prepared. So all of us are already EverSafe certified. That's a course that you can take on your own. Anybody can really take it. It goes through food safety temperatures. Again, like I said, how to store, where to purchase your food, where it's coming from, etc. In the summertime, it was very difficult because obviously it's hot. But like I said, we all are very well versed with how to keep and store food. So our events outside, we would rent a refrigerator truck. So that we're able to keep the cold food cold. Hot food we would use if we're not working out of a kitchen space directly and we're popping up outside. We'll use sternos. We had a grill on certain events and things of that nature just to make sure that obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic. So number one, we want to make sure that everybody's safe and that the food that we're giving to people is also safe and stays at a safe temperature.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
You made some great points. So Airmark, EverSafe platform is also doing similar things. So Airmark is an American food service provided to the convention, conference, university, school district, stadium, hospitals, and leisure and other businesses. So this year, Airmark launched the EverSafe platform in mid of COVID-19 in partnership with Jefferson Health in regards to new levels of safety excellence to direct and mitigate the spread of COVID and to provide hygienic health environment for employees, clients, customers, and guests. So there are 5 important pillars of the EverSafe platforms are good and hygiene practice, appropriate spatter separation practice, new enhanced cleaning, sanitation, and disinfecting procedures, in addition to available and emergent technology, and lastly, new service and offering capabilities. So I got that was similar to what you guys are doing.
Yes, 100%. All of us, even our volunteers, we would stay 6 feet apart. Everybody would have gloves, masks on. And again, if we're handling food, a lot of we call them guests that come and get the food so that they're not reaching for anything. We have our staff already there, ready to hand out stuff safely from a safe distance, but also keeping it at temperature.
So the next question is in regards to training, certification, and educations. So do you have any experience with food safety training, or have you taken any certification course? If so, what were they, and do you think they are relevant?
Yes, so like I stated with the previous question, all of our chefs, everybody in the restaurant business, every chef is ServSafe certified. And what that is an extensive course. You actually sit with a proctor for hours going through a booklet. You can learn it on your own. I definitely suggest if there's a ServSafe class or a proctor directly to go through it, because you think that you know a lot of stuff about food and how to store it and what temperature it should be prepared to and what have you. But just sitting down with a proctor and learning everything that you need to do just to freshen up on that to get your certificate is crucial. All of the kitchens that we work out of, not only do they require our insurance just to make sure that if anything does go wrong, say, their refrigerator breaks, but we're storing chicken in there. That's a crucial meat that if it drops in temperature, we're not able to serve it. So the ServSafe definitely teaches you what temperature to keep your food at.
Well, it seems that you're definitely very certified, educated on all these topics. Something that I've kind of noticed is that, the general public and consumers can kind of not be as educated on this when they probably should know a little bit more about food safety.
Oh, yes, for sure. I often see, like, when I go to a friend's house or somebody that doesn't work in the industry and they're preparing chicken on, say, you're seasoning chicken on a cutting board. A wood cutting board for chicken is no good. Always use something that isn't porous that you're able to clean directly. There's so many diseases that you can get from just the raw chicken juice, and nobody wants to get any of that. So I think that even just a small, maybe not do the full certification, but just educate yourselves a little bit more, especially during this pandemic, because if you're preparing something for your grandmother or a small child whose immune systems are already compromised and they end up getting salmonella, it just makes it easier for them to contract the coronavirus as well. So definitely educate yourself, stay safe, wash your hands, wear gloves. Personally, even though I'm a chef, I hate touching raw meat. I hate it. I hate it. It's disgusting. But it needs to be done. So definitely always wash your hands, always wear gloves when necessary, and educate yourself a little bit more. Yeah, everybody has to cook, especially now. Restaurants are shutting down, unfortunately. Your only option is to maybe order takeout, but that gets expensive, especially for college students. Go to the market, get the stuff that you need, but prepare it safely and store it safely.
Yeah, it's interesting you guys bring that up because the concept of educating the general public about food safety, because just 2 years ago, the United Nations actually created World Food Safety Day, which is a day that's dedicated to educating people about and celebrating food safety. It's celebrated every June 7th with the World Health Organization and the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United States collaborating to create the annual campaign. I think this was their second year, so even with the coronavirus pandemic, it took place, and they had the theme Food Safety, Everyone's Business, which I thought was really great because it is a topic that's ultimately important to everyone, from farmers to restaurant owners to consumers.
Yes.
And obviously this year's celebrations were a little different than previous with most everything virtual, but it was still, like, I looked into it, it was really well executed. They had everything from webinars that focused on COVID-19 and how it's changed food production and safety, to utilizing Twitter to share World Food Safety Day information and get support from public figures.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm really excited to see how the campaign's going to grow through the next couple of years, especially because it's only 2 years old.
Right. I've never even heard of World Food Safety Day. That's definitely something that everybody needs to at least be a little bit abreast about. You need to be able to prepare food for yourself, especially moving forward. We don't know what 2021 is going to look like yet, as far as restaurants, as far as everything, how the world is going to look and how we're going to be moving forward. So food safety is definitely a plus for everybody. Please, when you're okay.
Yeah. Food safety is something that I've actually looked into as well before COVID even. A couple of years ago, I got food poisoning and I didn't know how bad it it was from a salad, and I never even thought that that could happen. But I didn't know about it until I called my mom and asked her, and then I started doing more research on it with storage of food and cross-contamination, because I think that's how I got food poisoning. So it's funny that you bring up storage and making sure even at home that you know how to store food and you're not cross-contaminating.
Very, very important, especially with allergies and food storage as well. My son is allergic to everything. So I have to be careful. Even when I have certain nuts in the house, he'll just break out in hives, and cross-contamination is key. When restaurants were open, I know a lot of orders that would come in when I was still working in a restaurant. Orders would come in like, oh, this allergy is very severe. And that the food safety certification class teaches you about every ingredient that goes in every dish so that you're able to store each component separately and you're not cross-contaminating. That's a very great point.
And I feel like it seems all the time now we're turning on the TVs and, the reporter is saying to throw out your lettuce or to not buy new lettuce from the stores, or they're saying different restaurants that aren't selling it. And that reminded me because Sam had just said that she got sick from a salad.
Crazy.
And I think that lots of times, like salad can be linked back to E. coli outbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
And because I never understood exactly how that happened. So I did some research into it and found that lots of times it's from like livestock runoff. And specifically, they're called animal feed operations. So it's when livestock are kept in these super tight quarters for like 12 months. So lots of times the feces and sometimes dead animals can have runoff into the nearby produce fields, and then it contaminates all of that, and then E. coli outbreaks happen. So I just feel like we're always hearing about that on the news.
Sounds awesome.
So yeah, speaking of like illnesses and stuff from this, obviously COVID is the illness that everyone's talking about right now, and it's something that we are living with like daily. I know because I currently have it.
Oh no, I hope you feel better.
Thanks. But in like what ways do you think it will impact restaurants in the community like going forward? Like we know right now like some restaurants are going back to closing once again, but once we, I guess, like see with like a vaccine, how do you think it'll affect the restaurant industry?
The restaurant industry is going to suffer, unfortunately. It's been suffering, and it's not going to get any better. I guess once we as a whole kind of figure out how to stay in the house and not spread this disease and kind of take it a little bit more serious, restaurants can reconfigure what to do. I think moving forward, a lot of restaurants should look into takeout. Like a sit-down restaurant and a takeout restaurant are two very different things. What's really trending right now is restaurants that do offer a takeout service. And a lot of the big chain restaurants that, I frequent, weren't prepared for a takeout system. Yeah, they offer takeout, but not at the capacity at which they're operating now. When you completely shut down a restaurant, you're shutting down people's lives. They don't have a way to, that's their job, that's their bread and their butter. And unfortunately, with this virus, to keep everybody safe, the best option is to just shut down temporarily or just offer a takeout service.
So those are all the questions we have today. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak to us about safety and hygiene. We appreciate your insight and learning more about this topic as it's important. So where can our viewers get in contact with you if they have any question or want to connect?
Sure, you can email us at everybodyeatsphilly@gmail.com. You can see our website at everybodyeatsphilly.org. Our Instagram is everybodyeatsphilly. Same thing as Facebook. And then you'll be able to see and connect with all of our chefs through all of those platforms. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So thank you guys for joining us on the edition of the THE podcast brought to you by Tourism Hospitality Management Senior at Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.